It's Seeing Red, the New York Soccer Roundup. Since 2010, your weekly source for independent New York Red Bulls news and opinion. Now, from the Joe Goldstein studio, here's your host, Mark Fishkin.
Hello. It's Seeing Red. After crashing out of the Open Cup in heartbreaking fashion, the Red Bulls took a big step forward in the Eastern Conference playoff race by finally beating the Philadelphia Union. The road beckons now, and the Red Bulls have to find a way to win away from Harrison if they want to have any role in the 2025 playoffs. I'm Mark Fishkin. He's Gustavo Guimarâes. How are you, Gustavo?
I'm feeling 10 pounds lighter after Saturday, so everything is good.
Yeah, it definitely was a massive weight lifted off the Red Bulls tonight on Seeing Red. We'll recap a wild week against the Philadelphia Union, and we won't see them again unless the teams make the playoffs. We'll give our Bull of the Week. 2 games, 1 up, 1 down. We'll look at the playoff race, which is remains, despite the win, remains very, very hairy and very close. We'll preview New York's visit to Charlotte on the weekend. We're going to talk with Red Bulls defender Noah Eile, and then we have some emails as well. So let's get down to it. The Open Cup match. Sandro raised a lot of eyebrows when we saw his lineup. It was a very young lineup. Neither of the DPs started the game. And yet, I honestly believe in hindsight, this was absolutely the right move. New York had been playing a lot of games over the last 2 weeks. They're playing twice a week. And I think giving both Forsberg and Choupo a rest till the 65th minute was the right decision, especially since this game could have gone 120 minutes. New York took the lead twice. Wiki with his first goal of the year, a fantastic finish. Choupo he scored some highlight reel goals this year, but that kind of touch off a great Dylan Nealis feed, volleying it past Blake. That's definitely top 10 goals of the year, Gustavo.
It was a filthy finish. It was a beautiful one. I was surprised to see the lineup too, but then I realized that Forsberg and Choupo, they played almost the whole game against Real Salt Lake on that horrific pitch. So it was a necessary move, totally understandable. And the kids played well. It was a dog fight, but the kids held up there. So I was pleased to see that too.
Yeah. Of course, the positive of the goals they scored, the negatives were significant. New York conceded 3 minutes and 5 minutes after scoring each of those goals, and you can make the argument that playing a young team on the road, maybe their eyes are a little big. They weren't locked in as much. Also consider the Philadelphia is incredibly proficient on set pieces. New York fell twice to set pieces. And then we have to talk about the end of the game where New York is heading to taking the supporter shield leaders to extra time, to 30 minutes of added time. Shot comes in, Marcucci parries it away and comes down and destroys his own knee. Philadelphia gets the rebound. It was a poor clearance, to be fair. Philadelphia gets the rebound and is able to pop it in with a few minutes to spare. Marcucci tears his ACL on the play. The definition of injury to insult. Just a horrific loss. New York collapses late. Philadelphia is the best team in the league after 75 minutes. They score late goals, and the distance between the two teams really became apparent after New York took the 2-1 lead because it was one-way traffic. New York seemed unprepared and unable to deal with the Philadelphia onslaught. Dylan Nealis getting pulled out of position, loss of focus, they fell apart. And a more proficient team, a better team, frankly, could have handled that.
I would say that inconsistency is key when it comes to this team because we've seen throughout the season some very good minutes, some very good moments, and sometimes it feels like they go completely out of sync, out of mind. They don't know what they're doing. They look completely lost, and that was the case too. When it comes to that play where Marcucci tore his ACL, I thought if he could have come running to the ball, maybe that wouldn't have happened. But he took a stand position and tried to hit the ball. Unfortunately, ended up hurt himself, and it's a shame. Kid was doing good. I was feeling a lot of confidence when it comes to him defending the goalie, and quite frankly, I was starting to think maybe this is the end of Carlos Coronel's tenure, because Marcucci is showing a lot of personality, and now with this injury, things change a little bit, and let's see how it goes. But if you were playing at Subaru Park and you have the lead twice against the Union, a team where we haven't got anything from the past seasons, I was very excited, but then ended up so Metro.
Yeah, I mean, it was a that so Metro kind of a result. Again, promising young keeper doing his ACL on the play that Philadelphia scores the winning goal. And you really got the sense coming off the field that we're never going to beat these guys. That it's such an anomaly, this streak that the Union had against the Red Bulls. And then you try to look for positives, and the positives were New York came into this game as complete underdogs. They gave the Union literally everything they could handle. They took a lead late. It's just there's one piece missing, and you can say the piece is Lewis Morgan, because with a 3-headed attack instead of a 2-headed attack, maybe things wind up different. But frankly, what I said on social media after the game was that the Red Bulls have the talent to compete, but not to win. And they are fierce competitors. I do not begrudge Schwartz at all for the effort that this team gave. I mean, they literally did everything they could to keep this very, very good Philadelphia team away from the lead, and they almost at least pushed it to an extra 30 minutes. And on top of that, of course, we didn't mention the game was delayed 2 hours due to lightning in the area after already being postponed. And so just a very long night, but nevertheless, let's turn our attention to the league match, which obviously had a much happier ending. The Red Bulls have the best home record in the league. They came into the match below the line, but New York played and defended like that was the case, that they had the best home record in the league despite the field. The Red Bulls did not concede a shot on goal in this match. Carlos Coronel did not have to make a save in this match. New York started the 2 DPs. Schwartz started the 2 DPs. The match looked like the rock fight that we've come to expect. 2 teams playing a somewhat similar style, continuing over and over and over to negate each other's chances. And it wasn't until relatively late, right? Dylan Nealis gets a fantastic feed from Chupo, goes far post. It's his first MLS goal. He has scored in other competitions. His first MLS goal in 89 league appearances. And a great story. And unlike the midweek game, the Red Bulls did not falter late. After the Red Bulls goal, Philly took all of 4 shots. 2 of them were off target. 2 others were blocked. They did not get to Coronel. So this was a situation where the defensive strength of the Red Bulls really showed out. And again, through the League's Cup, New York tightened up in the back significantly. And yes, on the pitch in Philly, they conceded 3-2 after the 80th minute. But in this game, and to be fair, Philadelphia rotated players. Philadelphia really put everything into the cup match. As a result, Philadelphia fell out of the Shield slot, and at least for a time, New York was above the line. So what do you take away from the league match Saturday night in Harrison?
First thing, pleased with the defense. The way they held the Union, we know they're a very prolific scoring team. different from the mentality, the mindset they started against Real Salt Lake. It was very soft. It was absolutely ridiculous the way they played against Real Salt Lake the first minutes. But this time, no, they were able, given all the circumstances, given all the exhaustion coming from that game, midweek game, fine. But it lacked something coming up forward. I think Lewis obviously makes a big difference. We're missing him so much.
Mm-hmm.
But sometimes I think the Red Bulls look a lot predictable when it comes to create plays. And that was the case, especially the first half. Second half, when Coronel committed the penalty, I was like, here we go again. This is impossible. I can't believe this. So I was about to throw out, myself out of the window. But thank God he was able to save it too. I think that moment was very important to give the team the boost they needed to score the goals. Because 5 minutes after that play, Chopo, amazing play from Chopo. He cleared the Union defender and gave a beautiful ball to Dylan, and Dylan did the right thing. Very happy for Dylan as well. First MLS goal. A guy that we know that works hard. He gives everything he has. Maybe he's not the best player out there, but I trust him. He has my trust, and that's a very important thing to have. And then when Kai Wagner launched that torpedo near the grass, that came so close to the post. I was like, oh my God, thank God. This is the day. This is the day we finally will be able to finish this negative streak against the Union.
And they did. They held on for a 1-0 victory, their first win over Philadelphia in 17 tries, which again is absolutely outrageous. The win again lifted them above the line, at least temporarily. Since then, they've not been knocked back because all three contenders won. You have a bull of the week for the two matches, or either match, or where do you want to go with this?
I want to change something. I could give it to Chopo because the way he's been playing.
Goal contributions.
I could give it to Dylan for his first MLS goal, but I would like to give it to AJ Marcucci as a way of saying we are with you.
I like that. For me, Coronel's penalty kick save was, perhaps the turning point that the Red Bulls needed, not only to get 3 points in this game, but to give the team the confidence to overcome this horrific streak, which is now dead and buried, B, to protect home turf, and C, to, I think, open some eyes around the league as to the competitive fighting spirit of this team. This team has already matched, with 7 games to go, last year's win total. Red Bulls last year only won 11 games. They're on 11 wins so far. They are actually ahead in points per game as to where they were last year. Now, it may be that Red Bulls finish the season with a much better improvement on points and points per game as last year and don't make the playoffs. But I think Coronel's penalty save basically said, this team is not going down without a fight. They have 7 games left to play, fewer than their competitors, playoff contenders, and we'll go over that in a minute. But that was a moment, and we've seen Carlos do this before, where he literally saved the team. So I'm giving mine to Carlos. Before we look at the playoff stretch, I do want to mention some moves that happened this week. Costa Rican international midfielder Andy Rojas was signed to a first-team contract. Rojas has played exclusively with the second team, but he obviously has impressed significantly. He signed to a 3.5-year first-team deal, and so you will definitely see Andy Rojas, I believe, in the first team as 2025 turns to 2026. Also, yesterday, the Red Bulls acquired an international player spot from Toronto FC for $175,000 in GAM, heavily weighted towards this year and some money next year. And so we'll find out. We'll just ensure whether or not that spot was for Rojas remember, the transfer window closes tomorrow. And we've heard reports coming out of Germany as of this morning that Timo Werner's not coming, which should not be a surprise to anyone that's followed any of the press over this 2-month-long slog where Werner just wants more money than the Red Bulls are willing to pay him. So the question then is this spot for someone else? We know Lewis Morgan is getting his green card, which should free up a spot. We don't have word when Gustav Berggren will arrive, despite, suffering from the eternal visa issues that this team has. But just some interesting moves. And there may be another acquisition announced before tomorrow. If New York does nothing more than bring in Berggren, who really is a replacement for Carvalho, who, by the way, is back in MLS at Portland, and the Red Bulls will play at Portland in a couple of weeks. That's absolutely bonkers, and we'll talk about that with Jochen or Julian when we get our chance to at the end of the window. Nevertheless, it's a lot of information. Let's get to the playoff picture. Here it is. There's a lot of stuff on this slide. You're reading left to right the three contenders around the line. City's in 8th, Chicago's in 9th, the Red Bulls are in 10th, and you can see the Red Bulls are in 10th due to the goal differential tiebreaker, which comes after points and wins. So it's the third tiebreaker that's keeping the Red Bulls out of the playoffs right now. And looking at City, I just want to call your attention to the 4 games that are happening before the Red Bulls play City. The City games against Columbus, Charlotte, Miami, and then the Red Bulls, those all happen within like 12 days. New York City has had to push and condense its schedule mainly due to stadium availability. You can see they have 3 road games there. By the time that the City gets to Harrison to play the Red Bulls, they'll have played 3 times in 9 days. So just kind of keep that in mind. Chicago doesn't have it easy for sure, going to Philly this week and to Miami next week. The Revs will obviously play a big role in how Chicago does at the end of the day. Again, New York's wins, you can make the argument that Montreal, who's among the worst teams in MLS, the City game has to be a win. And interesting that Columbus has really fallen off in the second half of the season. I didn't realize this. The Crew are down to 6th. They only have 1 win in the league in their last 4. And so while I think we all believe that Columbus was going to be an absolute juggernaut in contending for the Shield, I don't think that's going to happen. But nevertheless, before the team can do anything, they have to get by Charlotte. Do you have any thoughts on what you see here, sir?
Surprised to see the Fire above us.
Yeah.
Very surprised, especially given the way they started the season, slow, not able to win games. But I think it's an embarrassment for us to be behind the Fire.
Yeah, and that loss at Chicago as well, not ideal. And again, interesting to know, all 3 teams play on the road this week. Against teams that are higher up on the table. So just as last week all 3 teams won, we could see the opposite of that this week, which isn't really necessarily going to help anyway. But nevertheless, let's talk about Sunday night at Charlotte. Excuse me, the Charlotte FC. They're 14-11-2 for 44 points. They're 7th in the East. They're only 3 points above City. So if New York is able to go down and get 3 points on Sunday night, they're going to pull Charlotte right into this kind of dog pile at the bottom of the East, the Eastern playoff line. They've scored 45, conceded 39 in 27 matches. That's a lot of goals. That's the 3rd best attack in the East. They also, like New York, very, very good at home at Bank of America Stadium, where they're 10-2-1. That's the 3rd best record in the East. They have the 2nd most clean sheets in the league at 9. Christian Kalina doing great things for Charlotte this year. They don't take a lot of corners. They are next to last in the league with with the number of corners taken. The Red Bulls have only taken 3 more corners than Charlotte. They have, so they're 27th. They are first in saves per match. When we were playing Philadelphia, Philadelphia was last in saves per match. Shots didn't get to the Union goalkeepers. Kalina is being called on regularly to make saves, and they are weak at the end of games. They're the 4th most conceded goals in the league in the last 15 minutes of games, which should be a good vibe for the Red Bulls. Here's their last 5. They're on a good roll. They're unbeaten in 5 in the league. In fact, they've won 5 straight in the league, 15 points in their last 5 league games, and that's a big reason why they are where they are on the table after a slow start. July 31st, they got trucked by Juarez in the League Cup, and then they had a 2-2 draw and lost to Chivas. They were in the same group as the Red Bulls, as you can see here in League's Cup. They lost the shootout to Chivas, and then they beat Monterrey 2-0. Monterrey did not have a good League's Cup. And then back in league play, they went to Cincinnati and won 1-0, which is, I think, a big deal. That's a quality scalp for Charlotte. And then last week, a 1-0 win against RSL. We've got one of those. Let's talk about Charlotte. Let's come back. Let's talk about Charlotte. Last year, the best season in their short time in MLS, finishing 5th while conceding 37 goals. By far the best defensive record in MLS. This year has been different. They added Wilfried Zaha, as we know, and there's been improvement. Defensively, they've turned down, though, in terms of performance. They've conceded more goals than they did last year. They have not now kept a clean sheet in each of their last 3 games, though. And no Aguimang, no problem. Since their arrival in MLS, Charlotte had trouble finding consistent 9. With Patrick Aguimang, they looked like they had finally found one. Of course, he's broken into the men's national team as well. But he has now joined Derby County, and you'd think that would make Charlotte worse. But in his absence, Charlotte has only improved with Israeli striker Idan Toklomadi starting most of the games and has a goal contribution in 5 of his last 6 games. Yikes. This is the Tal Baribo of Charlotte. It's the 10th time these teams have met in MLS. The Red Bulls lead pretty well. They only lost to Charlotte once in their history. In fact, the Red Bulls are unbeaten in their last 7 matches against Charlotte. The last time these teams played was Memorial Day weekend in Harrison. Victor Bogac with that pretty goal. Sofo with a goal, and then Chupo with 2 penalty kicks. Got the job done that night at Sports Illustrated Stadium. The only time that Charlotte had won in the series was a 2-0 win back on June 11th of 2022. However, the Red Bulls have never won at Bank of America Stadium with a loss and 2 draws. All the wins have come in New Jersey. As we know, your friend and mine, Elias Manuel, has run roughshod over Charlotte during their time in the league with 7 goals. Active scorers, though, include Forsberg and Choupo-Moting, each have a pair. And here is what Dean Smith's likely 4-4-3 will be. Christian Kalina, 33-year-old Croatian. He has 8 of Charlotte's 9 clean sheets. He's allowed 41 goals in all comps. The backline, Nathan Byrne. Our friend, Red Bulls draft pick, Tim Ream at 34 is still getting it done. Adilson Malanda has a goal from center back, and Jaquila Marshall-Ruddy, Canadian former Toronto FC, with 4 assists. Ashley Westwood, the 35-year-old Englishman, has a goal in 3. Jabril Diani has an assist, and Brent Bronico, who has been a little bit of a thorn in the Red Bulls side, with a goal and 2 assists. He's, I think, one of the few original Charlotte players still there. And then up top, this is a mostly Israeli attack line with Wilfried Zaha, the 32-year-old, with 7 and 6. And while you can say he's disappointed for Charlotte, that's pretty good first year in the league. Idan Toklomadi is the striker with 8 goals and 2 assists, and Liel Abada with 7 and 2. And so, Gustavo, they're a good team. They're on a hot streak. Although they have some League Cup losses, they've won their last 5 league games. They are itching to break this 7-game winless streak against the Red Bulls. New York has got to have a ton of confidence. But again, New York is one of the worst road teams in all of MLS. with only a single road win. They're 1-8-4 away from Harrison. And if New York wants to make the playoffs, my friend, they're just going to have to get 3 points on the road.
Yes, they have to bring some points from North Carolina, and they have everything in their favor. They're a good team at home. They're a prolific scoring team, but they're unbalanced, and that's key for us. Their defense is weak, as we know. Kalina works a lot.
Yeah.
We have all the odds against us because on the road, just like you mentioned, we are not good enough. But I have faith. I have faith in this team. I think it's going to be like the Union midweek game. They will put up a good fight, and hopefully they'll be able to Forsberg and Schopo can work on some magic and to help this team to get the 3 points. And I think Coronel will be very important too. He needs to be focused. He will be heavily tested again, especially away from here. And it is what it is. It's time to win all the games. They had wasted all the chances they had. There's no many games now and throughout the season, and it's time to bring the 3 points. There's no other excuse. There's no other mentality, and this is it.
Yeah, a draw will help temporarily put them over the line 1 point ahead of Chicago, but yeah, we've reached the point in the season where the New York needs 3 points at every sitting, and I would hope that the performance against Philadelphia would give them a level of confidence in terms of what they can actually do. Also consider with the hurricane coming through up the East Coast this week, this is the worst day, certainly here. There may be some residual. This game may be played in the rain. I think it's probable that it'll be raining during game on Sunday night. But nevertheless, yeah, I mean, the Red Bulls are just going to have to dig deep. I am a little concerned, obviously, with AJ's injury. 17-year-old Aiden Stokes is the backup now, and you would hate to have the kid thrust onto the field if, God forbid, something happened to Carlos. But I think, by and large, New York is mostly healthy. Obviously, no AJ, no Lewis, who should be coming back. I'm hearing that he'll be back after the Columbus game, after the September international break. I don't think you throw Lewis Morgan, who is training with the team, onto the field in Charlotte. On the plastic pitch. I think you definitely do not do that.
Yeah.
But nevertheless, it'll be tough, man. Again, Charlotte, a very good team at home, eager to take on New York. You have a prediction?
I will. Yeah. Hopefully a 2-1 win for us. I'll take that.
All right. I'm going to call it a 2-2 entertaining draw. That will be good enough because I think Philly's going to beat Chicago over the weekend and get New York into 9th for now, but it may hurt them down the road. All right, when we're back on Seeing Red, your favorite Swedish defender and mine, Noah Eile, comes and joins us. Stick with us. We'll be right back. I'm here at the Red Bulls training facility with defender Noah Eile. Noah, thanks so much for being here today. I really appreciate it.
No worries. Fun to be on.
You've got a great result this past weekend, a gritty, hard defending result against a team that has really been a challenge for New York over the last number of years. Talk to us about what it felt coming off the field after getting that win.
Yeah, no, it was a great feeling. I think everyone knew the tough result that has been the last couple of years, and also how important game it was for us in where we are in the table right now. So I think it was a great feeling, but I think now we have to look forward because like I said, we're still not in where we want to be in the table, so we need to keep performing like that and keep winning games to hopefully climb higher up.
Yeah, for sure. It's going to be a challenge. The other teams have games in hand on you, but again, as Coach Schwartz says, so much. It's just about what happens next.
Exactly.
You can't look back. But I do want to look back a little bit to the Montreal game.
Yeah.
You got your first goal as a Red Bull. Talk to us about what that felt like. We could see
this year, as you found yourself getting forward, whether it's dribbling, whether it's on free kicks, your ability to get close. I know you've gotten close a lot of times.
Yeah.
What was that like finally hitting the back of the net? Because I watched the replay today. It was an emotional moment for you.
Yeah, no, like you said, I think I have been very close, especially like before that this season. I had been very close a couple of times. So yeah, obviously it was a big relief scoring that first goal. And like you said, the first year I didn't score any goals, and so close a lot of times this year. And then to have the first goal come it was a great feeling. And then when we won the game as well, everything, it was a great day.
Yeah. This team can win games a lot of different ways, right? We've seen 7-0 this year, which is a special result. Obviously, we've seen a number of 1-0 wins. It feels like over the last 4 or 5 games, really starting in Leagues Cup and coming through, the defense has really tightened up, where maybe a month ago things were a little more chaotic in the back. Every player and every team goes in and out of form, but talk about what's happened over these last stretch of 4 or 5 games that have really been better for you guys.
Yeah, no, I think like you said, I think starting with the Leagues Cup, I think we kind of try to just go back to the basic things that we are good at doing. I think over the course of the season we have been quite solid. I think, like you said, there was a few games, especially the 2 Miami games, where we conceded a lot of goals, which is of course not good enough. But I think apart from that, we have been pretty solid. And then it was those kind of 2 or 3 games there in the summer where we conceded a lot of goals.
Yeah.
And then we just talked about, we have to go back to what we had been doing in the start of the season and doing those basics right. And I think since we kind of had that conversation and we worked on it in practice and in the Leagues Cup games, I think it has been better. But like I said before, now we have to look forward. We can't. It has to keep going. That's what we have to do.
It's been an interesting year for pairings in the back, with you and obviously with Alexander and with Sean and with Tim, who's played very well over the last few weeks. It feels like there's some interchangeableness between the 4 of you. Talk to us about building the relationships. Obviously, Alexander's new this year. Sean, you've played with before, and Tim coming back to the team. Obviously, was here before you were here. Your comfort level with each, and no matter who Sandro is putting on the field with you, things will be okay.
Yeah, no, I think like you said, we have changed a lot, but I think that's because I would say all 3 of the other guys are very, very good players. And hopefully they think the same about me. But I think, I think like you said, all 4 of us are competing against each other, and then it's normal that you change a lot. Like you said before, people go out and in a form, and things work better with certain games. We're also quite different as players. We're not the same profiles as players. So I think sometimes some games where maybe requires a different skill or something, and then it's very good that we have those different options to change and use if the game requires something special. So I think I think we are, like you said, very comfortable. We've all played with each other a lot in practices, and in games we have changed around a lot. So I think everyone's quite comfortable, and we also have a great relationship, all 4 of us guys, outside of the pitch. So I think
you're the baby of the group.
Yeah, exactly. I'm starting to feel old for the rest of the team, but in that group, I am the baby.
That's how you know you're playing for Red Bull.
Yeah, exactly.
Right, when you're in your early 20s and feeling like you're old.
Exactly.
Let's go back, because we haven't had a chance to talk about this. Let's go back to MLS Cup. You get the nod 90 seconds before getting thrown onto the field. Obviously not the way the team wanted to start. Talk to us a little bit about what was going through your head when you're feeling solid. It's your first final, and yet you're not starting, and then all of a sudden you hadn't warmed up. Talk to us about what that experience was like for you.
Yeah, I think it was a special experience for sure. Like you said, the first a big game for the whole club, and then a kind of quick moment there to come in. But I think in some ways it's maybe better that it happens that quickly, then you don't have time to think so much. Of course, maybe you would like to warm up a little bit more, but I think it's also could be good that you don't have to think so much about, and you maybe work yourself up a little bit too much. So I think no, it was just about trying and help the team as you can, and unfortunately it didn't go as we wanted, but then you have to use that as fuel to go forward, and like you said, we said many times now, to keep looking forward and working.
You've definitely picked your game up from year two to year two from year one here. Talk to us about how you think you've improved as you've continued to build your game here.
No, I think it's a lot of things. Obviously, playing a lot of minutes in the first year helps that you get used to the league and the higher quality that is here compared to what I've been playing before. So then you get more used to it, and like we said, growing older, you also learn playing in the position, and then I've been putting in a lot of work by myself. I've done some changes in my physical work during the off season, which I did, and also in how I analyze my games personally, which I think has helped me a lot.
What kind of changes, and how have you changed analyzing?
No, I work with a personal fitness coach that is back home, that I work with during the off season, and I've continued to work with during the season, and then like I said, I'm working with also to analyze my games in a more better level, I think, to look what I can do better, and I think that's helped me a lot.
Is the team providing you with kind of video replays and things like that, so you can spend some time off?
Exactly. So I think the team have provided me with that, and then I think it's also a good way to like you said, improve and look where you can do better, and I think that's what I try to do now as well. I always look to find those things that I need to do better. That's what you always have to do, I think.
So now that you're a veteran on this team, and you've been in the area now for a year and a half, coming up on 2 years, what are your favorite things to do around here? What do you get into the city a lot? What is I know it's been games, but when you have some free time, what are the kind of things you like to do?
No, like you said, I think it's been a lot of games, but now after this last game we had a few days off, so then I was in the city a little bit to there's so much to see, of course, so to go into the city sometimes, but a lot of times when there's a lot of practices, then you just kind of unwind at home and just relax, watch TV, that kind of stuff.
Are you watching stuff here, or are you watching stuff from home?
Both. I think I like to watch a lot of different things, so I think there's a lot of time as well where you can, especially with traveling and stuff, where you have time to watch. I like watching a lot of shows and watch a lot of soccer games as well from back home and so on. So, is
there a favorite team or teams that you follow outside the league?
Yeah, in my old team, Malmö is the team I grew up with. So that's kind of you don't really choose the team. It's just something you're born with.
Trust me, I know.
Yeah.
I know all about that.
Exactly.
Okay, so 7 games left. For better or for worse, there's no other focus. There's no more Open Cup. There's no more Leagues Cup to focus on. What are the things that the team have to do, and what are the things that you have to do to make sure that this playoff streak continues and we get there for the 16th straight year?
No, I think we mentioned a few times this conversation that we have to just look at the next fixture, next game, and I think if you start looking ahead of yourself, you're gonna lose focus on what's here and now. So it's a boring answer, but I think that's what we have to do. We just have to look what we have right now and try to put everything into that, and then hopefully get a good result in that game, and then you move forward to the next.
Coach would be very proud of you. We'll share that.
Zach as well.
Yes. Charlotte has a fake field. You've played on it last year. What are the challenges in general on playing on a field like that, on that field?
No, like you said, it's different than a lot of the other pitches in the league. So But I think it's not something to think so much about. Me personally, there's a lot of turf fields in Sweden because of the weather. So
Okay.
so I'm personally quite used to playing in those kind of fields. But now, of course, you would prefer to play in normal grass. But I think it's not something to think about too much. It's just accept what it is. You can't change it.
When Bergeron finally arrives, it'll be the third Swede on the team. What are you going to tell him about life in the States and what it's like here?
Yeah, that's a good question. I'm gonna hopefully kind of show him a little bit around. I think he will enjoy it a lot. It's a great place to be. So now hopefully I can show him a little bit. I think me and Emil will have to do something to show him a little bit around, but I think he will be fine. There's a lot. Like I said, there's a lot of seats. There's a lot of things to do.
Awesome. Noah Eile wears number 3 for the New York Red Bulls. Noah, thank you so much for joining, and we wish you best of luck the rest of the way.
Thank you very much.
Awesome.
That music. You can write us at any time at seeingredny@gmail.com. 2 emails this weekend. Our friend Ed Ritter, who's been listening for so long and listens to so many podcasts, and we are honored to be on his list of podcast listening. He does have a bit of a novel. Bear with it and bear with him because he has a lot to say. Dear Mark and Gustavo, it's the day after our Open Cup loss in Philly, and I have thoughts. The season is effectively over, and there's one person that bears the bulk of responsibility for that. And in my opinion, it's not Sandro Schwartz, it's Jochen Schneider. Philly is a good team, and it's clear that there are only 4 or 5 Red Bull outfield players that would be in their top 20, both DPs, Edelman, and probably Morgan, depending on how he plays after several injuries. Everyone else on our squad is at least a level or 2 behind their counterpart on the teams above us, and in many cases, below us. The roster construction for this team is atrocious. We have a few top-level players and some promising youth, but the middle tier, the part that really drives a competitive team, is just not good enough. Having Wiki or Youngar on big contracts is not utilizing those roster spots well. As the armchair analyst has often pointed out, MLS teams have to maximize the limited resources they have, and good GMs work very hard at this, and there's no evidence of that thinking at Red Bulls. Hawk has a good soccer brain, and his passing is good, but he's far too slow to play at the way that Schwartz wants to. The same for Edwards, though his soccer acumen is nowhere near the level of Hawk. Cutting ties with Edwards as the end of the season should be a priority. The lack of quality depth has forced Sandro to make roster decisions that seem nonsensical. But there is no way that Chupo and Emil can play 90 twice a week all season. I thought the coach's roster management for Leagues Cup was excellent, except for a few experiments with 3 in the back. His tactics have mostly been good. My only quibble is the final third, where we don't have rote patterns of play that we see from other teams. Sandro talks about deep runs, but they happen rarely, and that's because players don't have the unerring confidence that they will be found if they make those runs. I don't understand the way the team has embraced the multi-team model. It's fine that we get some players from Leipzig, Salzburg, or even Bragantino, but I was under the impression that the real benefit was central worldwide scouting. We don't seem to tap into that in any way. Is Victor Bogac, who we chased for 2 years, a top prospect worldwide? The 2 team has good success drawing players from African clubs, but I expect a lot of that has to do with Ibrahim Sagaya, who's been a real bright spot in the organization. Other teams structure deals to get players on board, DePaul, Sonny, and Bale to name a few, but our front office seems to lack the know-how and ambition to do this. The Red Bulls are playing MLS 1.5 while most teams are onto the 3.0 edition. I'm sorry for the rambling, but my primary point is that I don't think any of the blame for this season is on Schwartz. It's a complete failure from the person above him. Ed, a tactical, evidence-based breakdown of what is wrong. And to be fair, the team has matched their win total from last year. They are outside the playoff line due to an improved East. They have more points per game than they did last season when they went to MLS Cup. your mileage may vary. Gustavo, what do you have to say about Ed's?
He has some points. I do agree with him when it comes to the roster construction. Edwards, I agree with him too. Um, I think we might take some. We might be some really. We might be very hard on this team at times. But compared to the last season, the thing that Sandro, I think, could have done a bit better was the road games. The Red Bulls are nowhere near the form of last year.
Yep.
And this is hurting the team. The team at home has been good.
Lights out.
You know the record, no complaints. But the road games have been key this season. And this is why we are below the line. So Ed has some points. I do drive my my negative mentality towards Jokin, and he needs to step up for the next season as well.
I mean, the notion that without a Lewis Morgan for most of the season, New York has not gone and gotten quality winger depth. We're all waiting for Dennis Younggar to turn into something. We're waiting for Serge Goma to show his quality. And I love Serge Goma, but it hasn't been there. We're waiting for Mohamed Sofo, who was such a first half surprise for this team, right? To continue to play deep into the year and contribute, and it's not really happening. So there's a lot of young, and I will call it middling talent on this team that I honestly do believe in Ed's point that lack the confidence to make the runs necessary to be found. We know that Forsberg does it and is constantly looking back frustrated. So, to your point about the road record, yeah, I mean, if New York had won 2 more road games, they would be 5th in the East and would be contending for a home playoff spot. And that's the story of this year, New York's inability to get points on the road. I think, should we be able to speak to Jokin or even Julian, I think they're going to obviously hear an earful. I do want to say, Edwards is like a two-faced coin in the sense that you never know what you're going to get. He's a giveaway machine. He was dreadful in the Open Cup game, except when he's making amazing clearances and taking the ball away in critical moments. And keep in mind, honestly, if Marcelo Morales came into this squad healthy from Chile, we wouldn't have needed to sign Edwards, frankly. But because he was unable to go for the first half of the season, that's why Edwards signing became necessary. And I also believe that he won't be here next year. But Ed, thank you so much for the note. One more note from Connor Naspo. Hey, seeing red. I hope the week has been well. I was lucky enough to be at the game Saturday, and the energy in the stadium was amazing, and I think our players definitely felt it. Though our offense wasn't firing on all cylinders, our defense was. Coronel had a great game, especially with the penalty. The Red Bulls may not have an outstanding defense, but damn, we have some good goalies. Robles, Cornell, Mera, Marcucci. I'm really starting to like how Tim Parker is settling back into this team again. And I would agree, since that DC game when he got absolutely obliterated by Pagula twice, Parker over the last month has played very well. I think having a shaky start, he's finally getting back to the Red Bull system again. On the other hand, I don't know why Sandro keeps starting Serge Goma. I know he had a lot of hype coming into this team, and I don't see it. The grit, skill, passion just isn't there for me, and I think Younggar is a much better fit, or Julian Hall. Lastly, I think penalty kicks at the end of games should be changed. I think I think this is probably for Leagues Cup. It's luck-based, and I think it should be more dependent on skill. I think a hockey-style shootout would be great. Attacker starts at the ball at the top of the 18. Calling for the old-school MLS penalty kicks. Much more skill and more possibilities. Thanks for another great pod, Connor Naspo. Again, here's someone else calling out Serge Goma. And to my earlier point, Wiki had a fantastic goal. against Philadelphia in the Cup, but also we haven't seen him continue to improve. What do you think?
First off, I want to ask him, please stop with this idea of changing the PKs at the end of games, because people make fun of us because going back to the shootouts in the 90s.
Okay.
No, I don't like that.
Okay.
It's quite confusing to think that we have everything in terms of infrastructure to be better, all the human resources, and we have to talk about the necessity of a winger at this point. I agree when it comes to Ngoma. Frankly, I'm not seeing it there, but I do have to think about his injuries. It's not easy to come back to form, especially after 2 terrific injuries as well. So I didn't like the way he came in against Real Salt Lake, because I was able to see how soft he was. And I do agree, maybe it's time to try Julian Hall starting there. I don't like Yengar will ever come to fruit in this league. We've seen everything from him, and it's just another case where scouting has been not up to the standards we expect to. I wish, and this is coming from a guy that comes from Brazil, I think we needed to have more Brazilians, but I disagree with the idea of Bragantino farming to the Red Bulls to New York. Quite frankly, nobody thinks about New York in Brazil. So it's something we need to change.
All right. We've come to an end of a fantastic episode of Seeing Red. Thank you to Noah Eile for stopping by. Well, I went there. Thank you to Zach Feldman for stats. Gustavo Witt, you called Sunday night's game a
2-1 win for us.
I'm going to call it a 2-2 draw. Thanks for watching and or listening to Seeing Red 625. We will be back next week as always. Let's go Red Bulls. Thanks so much, everyone. Have a good day.